he loved his union because it provided him with the opportunity to attain the dream of the middle class, which is home ownership. He owned a home, and that really tells the whole story of my family. That ability to become part of the middle class, to earn a living wage, to help to ensure that my father and his brothers had the support that they needed to be successful, allowed me to be where I am today. And so we have someone in Washington who understands that, who is fighting for it, who is here to talk about what we have to do to ensure that we are strengthening our middle class. She is fighting for us. She has done a tremendous job in getting us our rescue plan money. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was tired of me texting her over and over again, please don't let the states take our money, please don't let the states take our money. But she was there for us, and it's my distinct honor and privilege to welcome our Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
It's always wonderful to be in Albany. It's always wonderful to be home. I love seeing all of you here. It's been a very rough year and a half. But being able to emerge at this moment and be able to work together and fight for the things we believe in and provide for our families and protect our community is really what it's all about. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. It means a lot, Madam Mayor. Thank you. I have a lot of people to thank and to recognize. I want to thank Mike Lyons, our president. Thank you for hosting us. Appreciate you very much and all that the Capital Region Building Constructional Trades Council have done for this community. I want to recognize Tanya Bazo, our nurse at the Albany Med. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. I also want to recognize Andrew Joyce, our chair of the Albany County Legislature, for being here. And then we have several other electeds here, Darius and others that I just want to recognize. Oh, and Dan's just showed. Thank you, Dan. Thank you to all our electeds for being here. It really does. We are a team. We are a local and federal team that work hand in glove to represent you, to actually bring your voice to Washington and to be the person that can take your story, take your need, take your urgent issue and raise it up and make sure it can get done. So today we are here to talk about how we rebuild this economy. And as we focus on rebuilding and recovering, we can't lose sight of the fact that it's the working people who are the true engines of our economy and our communities. The pandemic has really exposed for all of us the divide between working families and the wealthiest individuals in our country. I don't know if you know this, but nearly 500 people became billionaires last year during a pandemic, during an economic collapse. So most of the families in this community struggled over the last year and a half to make ends meet. So we have to address this divide, and one of the best ways to do this is by supporting unions and making sure we are creating good union-paying jobs in our community. As President Biden put it, Wall Street did not build this country, the middle class built this country, and unions built the middle class. The best way to build up our middle class and build back our economy is to strengthen our unions. When people can join unions and bargain collectively, they can start to level the playing field and make our workplaces more equitable and more fair. I think the best way to do that is to pass the PRO Act. Now, the PRO Act is a piece of legislation that is so long overdue, but it works to strengthen our local labor union laws and change some of the landscape for working people. First, it implements safeguards against violations of workers' rights by punishing employers for violations and supporting workers who face retaliation for exercising those rights. Second, it authorizes a private right of action, which makes sure that workers can sue if their rights are being denied or abrogated in any way. Next, it would support workers' rights to join a union, negotiate for better working conditions, have secondary boycotts, collect fair share fees, modernize the union election process, and facilitate initial collective bargaining agreements. And last, it would address the ambiguous wording that allows employers to classify their employees as supervisors or as independent contractors. And so this will increase the transparency between workers and management. So we know that if we can build up our unions and build up the ability of working people to have a voice in this economy, it will change everything. I also want to make sure that these infrastructure investments that we're about to make through our Build Back Better plan actually allows for more union-supported jobs. If we do that, we will build our next generation of workers and next generation of union members who are committed to the labor movement and committed to our vision of this economy. So I want to make sure that working people are supported by the soft infrastructure, the human infrastructure, that anyone here knows is absolutely essential. We know that if parents can't go to work, if we don't have care for our aging parents, if we don't have care for those who are disabled in our community, we can't go to work, we can't do our job. And so one of the things I've been fighting so hard for is that as we negotiate this infrastructure package, we have both the hard infrastructure, those roads, bridges, sewers, high-speed rail, rural broadband, everything we need to get this economy moving, but also the underpinning of the soft infrastructure, affordable daycare, universal pre-K, a national paid leave plan, more support for our elderly and aging. Those things matter because we are the sandwich generation. I don't know how many people in this room, but I suspect a lot have both the blessing of young children or aging parents or both. And that is the truth. And so if you don't build the whole infrastructure, you don't build the whole economy. And so that's why I'm here to talk about both the PRO Act and where we should be in terms of our advocacy. I really want to thank all of you for being here, and now I'm going to turn it over to Mark Amation, who's going to speak to us more. Come on up, Mark.
Thank you, Senator. There's a lot of unions in the House here. The Area Labor Federation is very happy to be here, standing with the Senator to push for the PRO Act. My family, for generations, have benefited by being in unions. And I'm a member of the United Food and Commercial Workers, and I benefit my family right now by being in unions. This morning, I was supposed to be on 230 Green Street down in the south end of Albany, where we are distributing the coalition that we helped put together with Catholic Charities and the Regional Food Bank and others. We're distributing 28 tons of food to families that are desperate for food. Our economy has recovered a little bit. People are working. The unemployment around here is lower than the national average. But rents, mortgages, groceries, gasoline, medical, everything is going sky high. An apartment that used to be $600 4 years ago is now $1,200, and the wages did not keep up. If we pass the PRO Act and we get everyone that wants to be in a union, poverty will decline, and we won't have to do these damn food distributions like we've done. To me, it seems like a matter of life and death, because if you do not have a healthy life, where you have the human rights of housing, food, education, and health care, you do not have those basic human rights, and nearly 100 million Americans don't have them right now. If you don't have those basic human rights, your life gets shortened. That's the truth, sisters and brothers. Your life gets shortened. We need, in this economy, and as the Senator pointed out, 500 new billionaires. If you made $1 million a year for 10 years, for 100 years, for 1,000 years, you'd have $1 billion. And there's some folks in this country with $200 billion. You can't earn it, you can't spend it, all you can do is steal it. So we have to change that, and the PRO Act will help change that. Thank you very much.
There's a reason why you're the director of the Albany Fed. Thank you. Thank you for it. Our next speaker is Tanya Basil, New York State Nurse Association, Albany Med.
Thank you for listening to me. So currently, right now, Albany Med is going through negotiation talks. And it's been 3 long years. This is what they do. They try to stop from forming a union, and then they're trying to stop from the union becoming successful at getting a contract. Even just about 3 weeks ago, they put out some propaganda asking for a revote, saying that nurses who came on board after 2018 don't have a voice. And I let them know that I came in 2019, and I do have a voice, and I stand with the union. The most recent legislation that has been passed by Cuomo, wonderful. We're grateful for it. We love it. But when I came back to the area, this is where I'm from. I came from upstate New York, Glens Falls. Give a shout out. But we have been fighting for this legislation since then. It's been out there fighting for it. It finally came about. I hope that this legislation, now that Senator Gillibrand is fighting for, will come to fruition much quicker, and will make it happen, because we are just being crushed by the rich. I am a peanut butter sandwich, being the cheapest sandwich you can make out there. I take care of my mom. I take care of my grandbaby. They all live under my household. I was a victim of COVID, and I brought it to my household. The need for laborers to be able to speak out and be represented is important. It is the utmost important for the survival of our communities, the survival of our country, a country that says it cares about its people. We are the people. We need to be heard, and we need to have a voice at the table.
We're happy to take any questions. On topic first, for anybody standing up here.
Senator, what do you think of the president's approach with the infrastructure deal? There's two silos. There's the 1.2 trillion hard infrastructure, and then there's the other side of it, the soft infrastructure. Do you agree with that approach? And would the PRO Act go into either or?
So I support getting it all done. So I want the PRO Act. I want investments in hard infrastructure, soft infrastructure, and the environment. And I think what Senator Schumer is doing is the right approach. He has given, and the same with Senator Biden, the same with President Biden. The purpose of allowing our more moderate senators to negotiate a bipartisan infrastructure bill is to show that they can bring people together and to find common ground on a very small sliver of what needs to be done. Once that is concluded, if it does conclude, and if it is finalized, the purpose of that negotiation was to make sure that our entire caucus is with us on a larger bill. I will only support the smaller bill if there is a larger bill, and I will only support a smaller bill if it's included in the assumptions of the larger bill. So we need the full team in place, all 50 Democrats, for the reconciliation bill, and I think allowing the smaller bill to come to fruition is part of the process of getting that 50 votes for the larger bill.
What can we do better when it comes specifically to women, accommodating them in the workforce when it comes to child care and also maternity leave?
So that's why the softer side, the human infrastructure, is so essential. Over 5 million women lost their job during the pandemic. Many of them have not been able to go back. And there's many reasons. One, a lot of their industries were among the first to close, service industries, restaurants. Two, a lot of schools have been closed, if not most schools, and so a parent needed to stay home with children to allow them to do remote learning. And three, many of our families needed a caregiver, and so whether it was an ailing or a family member who had COVID, or whether it was a senior who did not have a place to go, that's the work that families have done. And so as a consequence, a lot of women have been displaced. We need national paid leave, we need affordable daycare, we need universal pre-K. All of those three things together would create the infrastructure under which everyone can get back to work. And if we want a full recovery of this economy, everyone needs to get back to work. So those are the plans that I have. Those are consistent with what Senator Sanders will put into the larger reconciliation bill. He's also trying to create a buy-in for Medicare, which is a great step to health care as a human right. If you can get a Medicare buy-in for 50s and up, that'll help a lot of people who are displaced from the workplace don't have access to insurance. It's an excellent first step to making sure healthcare becomes a human right, as Mark talked about. Any other from the press first? And then we'll do non-press questions.
I have a second question. When it comes to businesses seeing staffing shortages, what advice would you give those businesses to get people back?
So this is happening all across the country and all across our state. Lots of businesses have reported that they have a tough time hiring staff. Each business is different. So the question first is the pay and benefit, are the pay and benefits adequate? That's why we have unions. Unions ensure that when people are working hard, they are given adequate pay and adequate benefits. Many of the jobs that are very hard to fill do not have adequate pay or adequate benefits, which is one of the reasons why workers are not rushing back to those jobs. I do believe, though, that as employers begin to understand what is the pay and benefits that people need, they will get the workers they need. But again, we have to solve the other problems. Kids still aren't in school, and a lot of camps are still closed. So again, a lot of working parents cannot go back to work yet because they don't have the adequate support to get back to work. So it's complex. I don't think there's any one reason, but I think all of those reasons are relevant to the answer. Other? Gentleman in the back, non-press question. Go ahead.
Yeah, during the one-day strike that the nurses had at Albany Med, they hired replacement nurses. And during that one-day strike, they hired these replacement workers, scabs, for 3 days. So not just to cover the one day, but lock them out for another 2 days. In this PRO Act bill, is there a provision to outlaw that kind of practice? Because it's not, this is the only country in the world that allows replacement workers to break a strike.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'll look it up and let you know. I'm not sure, and Mark's not sure either. So.
Well, it's outrageous.
Yeah, it sounds outrageous. One more press question. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. What kind of timeline are you working on to get the bill passed, and how far are you willing to go to Democrats willing to go to get it done?
So we are intending to put this bill in the reconciliation bill. Our goal is to get this as part of the Build Back Better plan, which we are hoping to get a budget vote by August with a final vote in September. So that is the timing of when we think this will come to fruition. Again, but to this gentleman's question, there's a lot of chess pieces that need to be moved in the right direction between now and then. But I'm confident that Senator Schumer is moving us all in the right direction to get that vote. So I would hope we have our final vote this fall in September. I agree. I agree. But again, we don't have the 50 votes yet to get rid of the filibuster. But again, time is sometimes our friend, and over time, I think we may be able to earn those last few votes we need to overturn the filibuster. My personal goal would be to try to have the filibuster removed by January. So have a fall session of trying very hard to legislate on a bipartisan basis. But when it becomes clear to everyone that Senator McConnell is not offering support in good faith, that it will become obvious that if we want to govern, we will need to have it reformed. Last question.
Senator, I just wanted to thank you for emphasizing the soft and the hard as we develop that infrastructure bill. Because after 4 decades in a classroom, as an ISIT member and speaking for colleagues that have similar experiences, we know the invisible damage that is done by poverty to children and families struggling with poverty, with deprivation. So our ability to teach those children to develop their confidence is so damaged by the socioeconomic conditions, the poverty, the health issues, the mental health issues.
Yes.
And again, we appreciate your support for full funding for IDEA, which is so critical to all of our schools to help these children with special needs. Thank you again for that, and please keep pushing that invisible, soft part of infrastructure.
Yes.
It's critical. Thank you.
I agree 100%. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Mayor.
Yeah, that's